Hello, hello, and welcome to the Rock Metal Podcast. I am your host, John Harris, and today on the Rock Metal Podcast, we have Live Like Animals. I've just released some singles, and right now I'm being joined by Ryan to share some more information about not only the singles, but Ryan made privy some information to me that's going to blow your minds, Rock Metal Podcast people, Rock Metal Nation. I used to say Rock Metal Nation, then I stopped saying it. Got old. Nobody was digging it. I don't know. Maybe they were.
I think that you should bring it back, to be honest.
Yeah, bring it back. So write down in the comments, you want me to call you Rock Metal Nation, or you just want me to call you by your name? But I don't know who you are. Tell me. Cool. So welcome to the show, Ryan.
Hello, good day, everyone. How are we all doing?
Lovely. How are you?
Oh, look, I'm doing pretty alright at the moment. You know, it's been a bit of a lonely time with everything going on, but you know, it means we've had a lot of time to really think some things through and get some stuff done.
That's right. It's winter now. I've heard in Australia that things are going through some cold snaps. It's getting cold.
It's getting bloody chilly. I've got like 2 jumpers on at the moment. Got me colourful socks on, and you know, tucking up to bed with a little bit of a hot chocolate at the moment. So it is definitely not like the good old summers, but it's pretty good indeed.
Beautiful. Now I'm watching the music video right now for Bleach, and coincidentally, there's a lot of white. So I'm thinking you guys did that on purpose because the track was called Bleach.
That is actually, when you say that, it wasn't an intentional choice in terms of that song in particular. But it's funny that you mentioned the word white, because it is in a white room, and it might be setting up a scene for something a little bit bigger. But you know, just a bit of a wink there on that one.
Because you guys are wearing white, except the guitars are black. The face mask is black. The is standing out deliberately. Because
the artistic choices are there, and it seems like you've definitely got a keen eye going for you, which I like that, to be honest, because we need a bit more people like you on that one. But yes, that is a deliberate choice in terms of the background being very white, everything being mainly white, but the things that are important are the things that are standing out.
Right, like the caution tape. Unless that's
very deliberate indeed on that one.
Okay, I was going to wonder, either that's what you normally do, or you did it for this video, and I think that is, you know, I think you're trying to say something without saying anything at all.
Exactly right. It's a bit of a hard balance, to be honest. You know, as I was alluding before, we are trying to convey a message, and I think the biggest challenge of all, when you know, being an artist, then you know, being a little bit privy and a little bit on the mysterious side of things, it's a bit of a challenge saying what you want without directly saying it. So definitely with a lot of the artistic choices, you know, as a musician, and of course a lot of them are musical, and you hear them in the audio tracks and hear them in the lyrics and hear them in the ways that we purposely, you know, do things like choruses, bridges, breakdowns, and the way we've constructed them are very careful. But it's also a two-sided coin. It's also about the visual aspect. You know, that's the one thing I really love being about in a band, is it's not just about the music, it's about the visual, and it's also about what you purposely do, or sometimes not even do. For us, yes, it was a very deliberate choice of doing, you know, that white roomy type thing, little things like the guitar straps and all that stuff in the clothing that we wear. It really gives us the chance to sort of express ourselves in a bit more than one modal medium. It sort of also helps as well. We can use colour to sort of say what we want to say type thing. But it's a very challenging thing to say something without saying it.
And I just wanted to talk about your guitar. Is that an Epiphone Les Paul?
Oh, it is indeed a wonderful Epiphone Les Pauls. It's pretty much the reason I chose it. I chose it very specifically. I'm one of those guys. I like the feel. I love the feel of things. Like, if I feel it, I like it, I'll take it. So, like, you know, when I was looking around for a guitar, I was like, okay, I'm going to go around to a couple of music stores, going to go around, try some out. And I spent like months looking for one that I'm like, yep, I like it, because I'm very particular. And then I went to a music store one day. I was sitting down, playing around with it. I was like, you know, I've been doing the Gibsons, doing the Fenders, doing all that stuff. Love playing around with weird wacky things. Weird wacky things is the thing I like. And I was like, you know what, stuff it. Let's go for let's try and sit down with it. So I sat down with this one, had a couple of friends with me, and it was sort of like the Harry Potter moment, where, you know, when like Harry Potter's like getting his little wand thing, it's like fucking like all the effects and stuff, it's like all blown away. It's like a magical thing. It sort of was the same thing like that. I sat down, played with it, and it sort of just, it was a connection that was meant to happen. So that Epiphone has been an absolute wonderful, and I like it because I could do many different styles, as Live Like Animals loves to do. We're very much on, not just sticking just rock, we're not sticking some style of stuff, we're sticking to a lot of different things. So I needed something that can do a whole wide range of different styles, genres, and plays and feels. And it just hits the mark. It just really does it does every style in a way that can effortlessly sort of convey what, you know, I want to play, or what, you know, what I want people to feel type thing. So it sort of is the perfect in between for many different genres in a way,
including violent pop.
Ooh, very violent indeed. It definitely slides down some good breakdowns indeed.
Pickups are stock. They're what, the T series?
I believe so. I believe it's the. Well, I'm actually not too particularly sure what type of series it is, to be honest.
Okay.
I believe it's the standard. It's just the standard good old, to be honest.
Okay. Black bass. That bass looks unexciting. I just want to go back to the gold hardware Epiphone Les Paul.
Gold. The gold is what makes it, to be honest. I think gold is where it all comes from. It's a secret.
Yeah. Okay, violent pop rock. What tuning are you in for violent pop rock? Because you guys, you know, you sound exactly as you said. Modern, violent pop rock. So take us a bit through that. And I don't know if tuning really has anything to do with it, but how do you get your Les Paul to be ready for modern, yet violent pop rock?
Yes, it's a bit of a challenge, that one, to be honest. You're combining very different styles together, and, you know, it's pop rock, but it's definitely violent and brutal. Our tunings are all in drop C. We love the drop C sound. It's where a lot of our favorite bands like Bring the Horizon and all of that are playing in already type thing. It's for us, drop C is the perfect tuning for it's like the Goldilocks zone, because we like our pops and stuff like that. We like things that are in our standard tunings, and we like things that are a bit brighter and a bit more happier and a little bit more on the lighter side of things. But we also do like our heavy, dirty stuff. We like our Slipknots. We like our, we like our heavy stuff. Like I like Korn and all that as well. Like them Suffer and all the bands around here, like Public Driving, all that, and that's all in very like C sharp, like drop G, A sharp, or stuff, Architects and stuff like that. And for us, it's just sat well in terms of it's heavy. When you listen to Bleach, you hear that breakdown. It's a breakdown. Everyone instantly goes, yeah, that's a breakdown. That's heavy. That's good. Like, when you're in the mosh, it's like you feel like you're going to throw some arms around. It's a good time. It's energetic, good time, hard hitting. But when you hit those choruses, it still feels like an anthem. It still feels like a pop rock song. It still feels like, you're in the clouds and you're having a good time. So for us, drop C perfectly just works for that. And also it sits with Nick's beautiful vocals just so perfectly. He sits in that range where it's just low enough that he has a lot of room where if Nick wants to, he can hit some high notes. He does Panic at the Disco style stuff, like Broken Neary stuff, so particularly well. And it's one thing that, when we're writing and all that, he absolutely does. I'm like, I'll sit there and I'll record with him, and he'll just start singing. I'll be like, bloody hell, that's always blown away. But for us, the secret is perfect balance. It's all about perfect balance at the end of the day. You know, A-sharp, scary stuff, because people that might like alternative stuff might not like it as much. You don't want something too hard, because we want the hardcore people. We like the hardcore. We like the good fun. They have good fun, good times in the mosh. And for us, that's what's really about at the end of the day. So drop C, is our answer for now. But we like to explore, and in the future we hope to play around with a couple of bit more different tunings and really expand on some of the stuff that we got going on so far and keep things a little bit interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the important part was minus all of that. You can get anything to sound heavy as long as Nick can sing.
Yeah, exactly right. He's an absolute machine, I swear. Like, there's nothing he can't do, to be honest.
Yeah. Cool.
It's something very, as I said before, I'm always blown away. Like, honestly, when I say there's nothing he can't do, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. And it's just, I don't know how he does it. It's something I could never do, but a lot of respect.
When you met him, did you have a Harry Potter moment?
It sort of is. It's a bit of a wild story.
Well, you live like animals, so I expect a wild story.
Oh, it's actually quite funny. So we went to high school. I moved to a different school for God knows many reasons. I moved in about like our year 10, so I was about 16. He was about 18. He was in his final year of school. So there was only 1 year left for him. I came in, didn't know anyone, so I came in, played guitar and all that in the music class. The music teachers knew a little about me, but we didn't really meet much. There was a couple of music sessions. Like I had to do an assignment with a bunch of people, and there was a couple of times that him and his friends walked in because he was in a band at the time before Live Like Animals. And like he's seen a couple of me play type thing. And then there was one day where I was in an art class. I remember it so vividly. Like it was, as I said, it was a Harry Potter moment indeed. I was like washing up paintbrushes, and I get a knock at the door, and like the music teacher's like, "Can I see Ryan?" I'm like, usually when a teacher's asking my name at the door, usually it's for something not very good. I could go in the principal's office or something like that. So I go outside, and it's Nick and, a couple of members from his band at the time. And they're like to me, like, "Oh, like we've got this competition going on that we have in our local area, but we need a bass player." And I look at him, I'm like, "Well, I play guitar. I've never played bass before. I've never fundamentally played a bass at the time. Never performed to a big crowd before at the time." So I was like, "Oh, I don't know if I can." And after a little bit of convincing, they got me to do it. So I did the one show. I had like 2 weeks. It was like a performance in 2 weeks. I had to learn 4 songs. Smashed it out. The show was wonderful. And then the guys were like, "Oh, hey, I want to join our band." And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" So that's how I sort of got to know Nick. And then, that band had its course. We had fun for a couple of years. And then that band broke up, and we're like, "Hey, why don't we..." Like, this is the day that we broke up as well. We're sitting in the car and go, "How sad's all this?" And we're like, "Oh, hey, why don't we just start a new band? Because why not?" And after a couple of months and all that of starting it up, Live Like Animals, as what you hear it today, is basically formed. And basically the crux of what we want to Live Like Animals to be is what you're hearing now, essentially. Hard-hitting, high-energy, soulful, experimental. So me and Nick have had a long history together, being in bands and all that stuff indeed. So yeah, it's, as you said before, it definitely is a Harry Potter moment, always with stuff in Live Like Animals. And that's sort of the story of how we sort of met type thing.
I didn't hear the part about how you stopped playing bass, though.
Yeah, so it was sort of just like, for a couple of years, I sort of just stopped playing guitar altogether. It was like, well, I'm going to play bass. I'm going to, like, of course, make my own songs and stuff like that. And just stopped playing, and I was like, you know what? Hey, I miss playing guitar. It's fun. It's interesting. It's a bit experimental and a bit more fun to do than playing bass, which has its own fundamental importance. But we don't, we care about that. But I'm a guitarist through and through. Like I'd been playing since I was like 7, so it was like it was in my blood to play guitar. So we're like, yeah, stop it. Let's have you play the guitar, and we'll have someone else do bass for once. I was very excited to finally hear that for once.
Yeah. Okay. So we've chatted about a lot of stuff today. We've chatted about Epiphone Les Pauls, which have kind of always been a conundrum to me.
Maybe.
Because I kind of grew up, and maybe this was true at one point, but what you wanted was the Gibson, but only what you could afford was the Epiphone. But there are people out there who can afford a Gibson, but they're playing the Epiphone, and from what you said, there is a difference. It's not just one's made in the States and the other one's made in China or something.
Yeah, it's actually funny you mentioned that, because I actually grew up with the same mantra. Like, I used to watch people like Slash and all that, and I idolized Slash all the way, like Guns N' Roses and all that, and then through to his solo projects. And I was the exact same. I was like, it's Gibson, Gibson, Gibson all the way. My dad had a Gibson. It was like a weird Gibson copy Ibanez type thing, but nevertheless, it was a Gibson style. And like, yeah, it was very much the same. Like, you know, you get a Les Paul, and when you get a Les Paul, you get the Gibson. You know, the Epiphone's just like the cheap knockoff. But after watching like a couple of like Aussie shows, like I think the Epiphone's coming back. I think this, especially in the Australian scene, I'm seeing a lot of the Epiphones, and I think we're coming to a point where Epiphones are just, I don't want to dare say it, but they're becoming, they've got their own sound and they've got their own place in the market, not just on the fact that they're about the price tag and about everything. Like, at the end of the day, it's like Epiphone, Gibson, it depends on who's playing it at the end of the day. If the person's got enough soul and it's got enough to say, enough to show off, it's its own thing. But for me, I fell in love with the style more than anything. I like a Gibson. I like a Les Paul, for its body. I like the feel of it. I grew up playing one. I like the fact that it's got a bit of a thicker body. So you get a bit more resonance coming out of it. You get a little bit more of those low ends due to the thickness and resonance of that body. But at the same time, the feel of the neck, which is always indicative of, you know, different other guitars and all that. It's all very personalized, but it's a style that I've just loved, and I felt comfortable playing. And I like, because it's a bit heavier as well. I like that heaviness. I like to have my guitar. Sometimes I like having my guitar up and low, but sometimes I have it predominantly a little bit lower. So I like to feel that weight going on. And it definitely comes through the playing, like especially with our style of music. We're heavy, we're full tone, and for me at least, it just works with the sound, and it just works with what we're doing. So yeah, Epiphones, they're an interesting conversation that I'm definitely going to be keeping a close eye on for the next couple of years and seeing how the guitars perform. Yeah,
I was just looking it up just to make sure I was right, because I remember being surprised, you know, somebody who can afford a Gibson or whatever. Matt Heafy from Trivium definitely can afford a Gibson.
I think a couple, to be honest.
Probably a couple. He might even have a backup, you know.
100%.
But his custom guitar is a Les Paul through Epiphone, still, to this day.
Yeah, and I think, and that sounds sort of, I think Gibson's getting to the point of, like, old-style Gibsons, you can't go without, but the new-style Gibsons, I think they're sort of dropping a little bit, and I think it's very much now about the name more than the performance, you know. Like players like Matt and all that, and there's going to be more to come, I would imagine, over the couple of years, where Epiphones are going to start rising a little bit, and it's going to be interesting how the name and how the landscape of that sort of shapes up in the next couple of years type thing, especially with, you know, signature models and those repping the company itself. So that's something I'm very interested in, indeed.
Yeah, very cool stuff. So yeah, we chatted about Epiphone Les Pauls. We chatted about messages and music videos. So for those watching on YouTube or on today's show notes, rockmetalpodcast.ca, even if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Music, there's going to be in the show notes down below the episode a link to the music video for Bleach, as well as one for Zenith. So you can go ahead and check out the one for Bleach, and you can see, and you can have fun trying to pick out all the different things that are going on. And could it even be a reference to the In Flames music video, Cloud Connected, where they're dressed in white in a white room? I don't know. We also chatted about a Harry Potter moment or two. And there it is, baby. So, Ryan, thank you so much for coming on to the Rock Metal Podcast today.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me, and I hope to be back here sometime soon, hopefully.